Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Tuesday, April the 2nd. I'm Clay Emo, I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter, I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. It is game day. The Vancouver Canucks host the San Jose Sharks in their final home game of the season. Game number 80. They still have two more games to wind up the season in Nashville and in St. Louis, but it is the final home game of the season tonight. I'm back in my familiar surroundings, in my car, looking good in my shirt and tie because I'm back at work, back to reality. But I won't be back in the familiar surroundings of Rogers Arena tonight as I cannot go to the game. I have a church meeting that I simply cannot miss, so we were able to sell tickets to a good friend of ours, and he'll get to enjoy Fan Appreciation Night and all the bells and whistles and year-end awards and everything that go along with it. Of course, we have Marie Huey singing the anthems, my really good friend and co-collaborator when it comes to the parody songs. Very fitting that on Fan Appreciation Night that Marie Huey will be singing the anthems as we all appreciate her talent and the way she delivers those two songs whenever she gets the opportunity. So I'm missing the Canucks, I'm missing the Sharks, I'm missing Fan Appreciation Night, I'm missing Marie Huey, but alas, I just got back from Vegas. I can't complain. I don't have it too rough. Very blessed as always. So in the Canucks and in the Sharks, we are seeing it's the final home game of the season, the final home game of this 2018-2019 season. Do you guys remember what happened in last year's home finale? Yes, that was Daniel, Henrik, and Edler combining for that magical goal in overtime, 4-on-3 against Brad Richardson and the Arizona Coyotes. That was the final home game for the illustrious career of the Sedin twins. That was me and my son Sean in the tunnel prior to the game, fist bumping the Sedins as they made their way to the ice for the final time at Rogers Arena. So a lot of memories. I don't know if tonight's going to be as memorable or as magical, but who knows? Quinn Hughes could score his first NHL goal. Pettersson might go off for another 5 points, solidifying his grasp on the Calder Trophy. Whatever it is, I'm sure something good will happen. And I know that the Canucks fans will want to appreciate their team today. I've already heard Bo Horvat and a couple other players talk about how much they appreciate the fans sticking with them this year. And I think we'd all agree that the Canucks as a club have made significant strides this season. They're probably finishing 5 or 10 points ahead of what most experts predicted. So they're on the right track. I know maybe not as quickly as some people would like, but they should have the playoffs, at least fighting for the playoffs even deeper, as a clear and realistic goal for next season. For tonight, the Canucks are playing against San Jose Sharks that's struggling going into the playoff stretch, but they're still a Sharks team that the Canucks simply do not match up well against for whatever reason. I think I saw Jeff Patterson say the Canucks have lost all 3 against San Jose this year. They've lost 6 straight. They've lost 12 of the last 13. They're I think the Sharks are undefeated in their last 13, 12-0-1 against the Canucks. So the Canucks simply don't match up well and haven't played well against the Sharks in the past 3 seasons. For the Canucks, though, they're going with the same 18 skaters that skated when the Canucks beat Dallas on Saturday night. So that means up front, you have Horvat with Pearson and Eriksson. Then it's Pettersson, Besser, Berchi. Third line of Gaudette with Spooner and Levo. And the fourth line is Beagle, Schaller, and Granlund. That means Nikolai Goldobin is a healthy scratch. That means Tyler Mott still injured. That means Jake Virtanen is still injured, although he's skating. So those are some of, I think the Canucks have 15 forwards up right now. 2 of them being injured, like I said, Mott and Virtanen, and Goldobin being a healthy scratch. Then on the blue line, same pairings, I should say, Edler and Biega. Then you have Hutton and Stetcher, and then Quinn Hughes playing with Luke Shen. That means that Derek Pouliot is a healthy scratch. Josh Tevez is a healthy scratch. Who else am I missing? There must be a couple guys missing. I can't even remember now. Oh, Brisebois is still injured. And then I guess Sotner would be a healthy scratch as well. I think the Canucks have about 10 D-men up right now. And then, of course, Demko back in net. As I mentioned about 3 or 4 games ago, I wouldn't be surprised to see Markstrom and Demko alternating starts, and that's what they've been doing. Markstrom won on Saturday. Now it's Demko's turn tonight, and Demko's coming off his latest game was that 3-2 shootout victory, not on Saturday night, even though same score, but last Thursday against the LA Kings. And then look for Markstrom to get one of the final 2, and look for Demko to get one of the final 2 as well. So that's how the Canucks line up tonight. Tell me what you think below in the comments below if you think the Canucks will do any damage against a San Jose Sharks team that, like I said, is indeed struggling. But the one person I want to end off this video with and talk about one more time is Alex Edler, because this conceivably could be depending on what he does this summer, could be the last time we will see Alex Edler play at home at Rogers Arena as a Vancouver Canuck. And it kind of just snuck up on us a little bit if that's indeed the case. Now, I put a poll question up on Twitter like I usually do before these videos. Last night, I said, do you anticipate tonight's game to be Alex Edler's last home game as a Vancouver Canuck? Got almost 400 votes, and exactly 80% of you, 4 out of 5, are saying, no, I do not expect this to be Alex Edler's last home game. And only 20%, 1 out of 5, said, yes, I do expect it to be his last home game. So for those 80%, whether it's because you want him to be back, or you just think he's going to be back, or it's a combination of both. You think he's going to be back and you want him to be back. That's what you guys are thinking. 4 out of 5, 80% saying this will not be his final home game. It's really tough to say. If I was, you know, forced to make a decision or a prediction now, I would agree with that 80%. I think that Edler will be back. I know the sticking point is going to be the 2 versus 3 years. Well, I guess both things could be sticking points, both the contract term and how much money the contract is worth. And, you know, some of you may be saying, well, shouldn't he be re-signed by now? Or the agent hasn't really said much about progress and is talking tough, could play hardball. I get all that. I respect all those opinions. But I just have this sneaky feeling like he's had chances to waive his no trade before, even as recently as 2 months ago, to go to a contender like Calgary or maybe another team. And he flat out refused to waive it. That tells me that loyalty, that tells me that staying in Vancouver in a city and on a team that he feels comfortable with, that is more important to him, to Alex Edler, even at this later end of his career. That's more important to him than winning a championship, because I think Calgary, out of all the teams in the West, maybe only second to Tampa Bay in the entire league, would have the best chance to win the Stanley Cup this season. So for Edler, as reported, to block a trade to Calgary, maybe that says more about his loyalty to Vancouver, the city, and Vancouver Canucks, the team. Maybe it also says he didn't want to go to Calgary, but you know, it's being so close to Vancouver. I shouldn't get into the reasons why or why not. But I just have a gut feeling that Edler will resign here. He's the type who wants to be a Canucks lifer, and he seems to love it here. Well, we know he loves it here, but I don't know how excited he'd be to move away. So whether that contract's 2 years, you know, what we prefer, 3 years, maybe you got to do that extra year to get him here. Whatever the money is, 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, I don't know. I haven't gone into the numbers. I haven't studied all comparable contracts, but I think that's going to be a very big story heading into the draft, heading into free agency on July 1st, whatever it may be. That's going to be exciting 10 days, right? Between the June 21st draft and the July 1st free agent market opening up. Well, I'm sure that's why the NHL plans it that way, but that's going to be a very exciting 2 weeks to be sure. So again, Alex Edler, could tonight be his last game in a Canucks uniform? My guess is no. I expect him to be back next year, and I expect him to cede some of his time, of course, to Quinn Hughes per my videos from earlier this week or late last week. And I know many of you want to see Quinn Hughes replace Alex Edler as early as tonight on the first unit power play. And he was taking 30 minutes as opposed to Edler taking 15 or 16. But as I mentioned in my video from yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember which one it is now. All the days are a blur. I simply don't see that to be the case. You know what else is interesting? I kind of hinted about this a few minutes ago, how quickly this has snuck up on us and how maybe there hasn't been a lot of fanfare about this potentially being Alex Edler's last home game. I think there's not a lot of fanfare because most people, including 80% of you, think that he will be back. But in the media, it hasn't been talked about. On the team, it hasn't been talked about. And of course, you can't talk about a contract negotiation that either hasn't taken place or will take place soon. You don't want to affect it in any way, and you don't want it to serve as a distraction. But it would be kind of sad, admittedly, if this is indeed Alex Edler's last home game. He doesn't resign with the team. It would be quite a melodramatic, anticlimactic is a better way of putting a departure from the team. And it reminds me very much of 2008, 11 years ago, when we knew it was Trevor Linden's last game with the Vancouver Canucks. Not only was that the last home game, but it was the last game of the season. So it was Vancouver hosting Calgary. You guys know this. You guys remember this. April 5th, April 6th, something like that. April 2008. Calgary whoops Vancouver 7-1. And after the game, Jarome Iginla brings out all his Calgary Flames teammates, and they all shake Trevor Linden's hand. And Trevor Linden, you hear him whispering on Hockey Night Canada, you caught him whispering to Jarome Iginla saying, "You're the best player in the game right now." A really nice sign of respect between those two very strong players. But I bring this point up because lost in all that, Trevor Linden's last game, was the fact that was Marcus Naslin's final game as a Vancouver Canuck. And we're not talking about some ordinary third or fourth line player. We're talking about a former captain, award winner, leading scorer for the team. You know, gave his heart and soul to the Vancouver Canucks for many years. And yet there he was, the same game that Trevor Linden was getting his accolades, fanfare, handshake, salute, all that. And Marcus Naslund, as humble as he is, maybe it speaks to his character and his humility, just stood there, right, on the blue line or in the zone with kind of his helmet off and, his gloves leaning on a stick, as hockey players do. And hardly a word was said about that being his last game. Now, he was becoming a UFA. Mike Gillis was hired 2 months earlier than that in April 2018. And it was up in the air whether or not Marcus Naslund was going to resign. He had already talked about the fact that he wanted to go to a contender, and he ended up going to the Rangers, as we know. So, a slightly different situation than Linden, right? Linden retiring, whereas Marcus Naslund was going to sign to another team. So Naslund technically is kind of like Edler, in that Edler has a chance to go to another team, although like I just finished saying, I don't think he will go to another team. So that's why, it's kind of interesting, not just because they're both Swedes, but because Naslund was kind of, not a lot of hype around his last game as a Canuck because it was overshadowed by Trevor Linden. I'd say in this case, Alex Edler, not a lot of hype considering it could be his last game as a Canuck because there's other things to be excited about, Elias Pettersson, and especially Quinn Hughes in the last week or so. So that's kind of another interesting storyline is the Canucks fans that are there at the game, I really hope that you appreciate and you recognize that you could be watching Alex Edler play for the Vancouver Canucks for the final time at home. And that would be quite shocking, after 13 seasons. But it would be a very underwhelming and understated way of going. But that could be the case. All right, Canucks fans, leave a comment below. I loved 13 seasons seems kind of long. I should have looked that up before I came on. But maybe it has been 13 seasons. 11 to 13. I'm sure I'll look it up as soon as I press stop here. And then I'll kick myself for getting it right or getting it wrong. Anyways, leave a comment below, Canucks fans. I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me what you think about Alex Edler. Do you think he's coming back next season? Do you think... do you think he's going to come back next season or is he going to sign with another team? Tell me how you think the Canucks will do tonight and tell me what else you expect from tonight's game, Fan Appreciation Night. Leave a comment below. I'll read, react, and reply as best I can. Subscribe if you like to. Like this video if you like to. Enjoy the game. I'll be enjoying it on my phone from my meeting and then coming home and catching the rest sometime tonight. Have a great day. God bless and go Canucks go.